Hello, my friends. Welcome to Clarity in the Chaos, formerly known as Keto in the Chaos. My name is Tammi, and on this channel, I like to share all my mental and physical ups and downs on this crazy battle against obesity. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe on your way in for more videos like this one to inspire you to get started.
Let's be in the present. I don't want to sweat it. I just want to start all over. Just want to start all over. All over.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, let me introduce myself once again. Like I said in the intro, my name is Tammi. I am a 50-year-old mother of 9. I am a dance mom. I am a homeschool mom, and I suffer with chronic obesity. If you're new to my channel, you may not realize that I started here actually on keto. I lost 207 pounds from 2017 to 2020 on a ketogenic lifestyle, and I talked about that on this channel. I then had a full skin removal. I had a Fleur-de-lis tummy tuck, along with a 360-degree body lift and a thigh lift, and I documented all of that on my channel. And the reason I'm back here again is because I am now on another weight loss journey using a GLP-1 medication. So if you want to know all the ins and outs of why I switched from keto to GLP-1, I have a video if you just go in my GLP-1 playlist and you will see the one that says why on the thumbnail. That's the one that explains all the details of why I ended up changing my mind. But suffice it to say, ever since my skin removal surgery, I have not been able to lose any of the swelling that I gained. After the surgery, I gained like 30 pounds overnight, and then I was only able to lose 10 of it, and then I've just been slowly gaining after that. And I have put on 90 pounds since my skin removal surgery. I started to get really scared, and that is why I started investigating GLP-1 medication. Now, I mention all of that because part of the reason that I was hesitant to try GLP-1 was because I really didn't understand it. Just like I was also diagnosed with ADHD a few years ago and also autism back in the spring, I didn't really know much about those things either. And part of the reason I didn't get diagnosed is because of my myths and preconceived notions of what those two things entailed. I have the same problem with the GLP-1. People would come on here and they would suggest it to me and I wouldn't even consider it because first of all, I thought it was only for diabetics. Secondly, I thought that I would be taking medication away from someone who needed it because I thought there was a shortage. And thirdly, I just didn't think that it was safe. I was wrong on all 3 counts. And ever since I decided to investigate what it actually does, I can't stop talking about how much it has helped me. Not only for the obesity issue, but also it has helped my ADHD and autism symptoms to calm down. That in and of itself has been the number one reason that it is the most beneficial thing that I have done for myself, even over keto, which really worked to do similar things that this does for me, which is why it worked. I didn't know that though. Of course, we don't know what we know. We can't go backwards. We can't change things once they've already happened. But we can learn and move forward, and I cannot say enough about how much the GLP-1 has already helped me in 5 weeks with my state of mental health. Now, that all being said, this has been a rough week. Mentally, it has been rough. I have really struggled, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but first I wanted to touch on what the GLP-1 actually does, because I think there might be people on my channel that just like me had no idea, and I realize I haven't talked about that very much. So I want to talk just briefly about how the GLP-1 actually helps you lose weight, because that was the thing I didn't really even understand. I thought it was just like a blood sugar thing, and it is not. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So first of all, I am on compounded Terzepatide. The company that I go with is called Brello Health. I have a link in the description that will take you there. They are the most affordable that I could find that come from a reputable pharmacy. You do get what you pay for, and so what it lacks in how much it costs, it makes up for in how much help you get, if you know what I'm saying. So your shipping times are going to be longer, 2.5 to 3 weeks. You need to accept that that is how it is. It's almost guaranteed. It will be 17 to 21 days before you get it. But use that time to investigate these videos and to practice and to start tracking your protein, your fiber. That one's really hard, by the way, which I've never done before. Your water, your electrolytes, all of those things that you're going to need to be able to do when you start this, because this is not just you get the shot and then you just magically lose weight. It does help, but if you help along with it, if you are prepared, you can have a much better experience. So just so you know, that link in the description is an affiliate link. I will get a little pay bump if you go through my link. And firstly, can I just say thank you for that, because that is really helping me. I cannot even believe how much it's going to help me to be able to keep making videos and keep being motivated to do this, because it's really hard. I will talk about that later. And to help me pay for my kids, help me feed them, put them in dance classes and all of the above. So thank you in advance. Also, side note, before we get into how the GLP-1 actually works, who sent me this cute sweater? Like, what the heck? I just got this in the mail this week. And when I talk about how rough this week was, I cannot even tell you how grateful I was to get a little gift in the mail. But there was not a note. So I guess this is from my Amazon wish list, which I didn't think people even knew was still in my description, but it is. And so thank you so much to whomever sent me this little secret surprise, because it meant the world to me this week. And it is so soft and cozy, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Okay, so how does a GLP-1 work? Tirzepatide, this GLP-1 that I'm using, is the same medication that you would find in the diabetes medication Mounjaro and in the FDA approved for weight loss version of Mounjaro, Zepbound. So this is the exact same medication. It's mixed slightly differently, and Brello Health doctors give you a little bit different dosages, which is why it's not the exact same as you see on a lot of channels, especially those that are using the name brand and using the pens. It's a little different dosing schedule. The way it works is there are two basically things in it. I don't know if they're hormones. I don't know what they do. I don't actually know. I know that you make GLP-1 in your body. So that I understand. And it is the hormone that basically tells you you're satisfied, stops you from eating, makes you feel full, all of those things. So the first part of this is that it has extra GLP-1 that goes into your system and calms that down so that you have more satiety and that your stomach goes slower so that you have a longer time before you feel hungry. It should not fully suppress your hunger. I don't know if people realize this, because I see people talking about the suppression a lot, but the suppression is actually a side effect. It is not something that the medication is meant to cause. And so when you get your hunger back, that's why, because it's not meant to fully suppress your hunger, because you need to be able to eat. So I know that that's kind of a common misconception that I thought at first, and it's not true. Also, if you don't have side effects besides suppression, like if you don't have nausea and bathroom issues, that kind of thing, that doesn't mean that the medication isn't working. Some people are just lucky and they don't have severe issues. I know that people have questioned me on that because I said, oh my gosh, I had nausea. Maybe it's actually working. It was kind of a joke. I just kind of meant it just kind of felt like it wasn't doing anything, and I was excited because it felt like it was doing something. You know what I mean? Not that I am using the amount of nausea as the barometer of whether or not the medicine works. That's not how it works. Okay, so the second part of that is the GIP. And I don't know if GIP is like a hormone and it's like GLP-1 that your body makes. I don't actually know. I would assume so. But the GIP is another, it attaches to another hormone receptor, and what that helps with is the brain. So it helps to calm down your brain. People say that it eliminates food noise. Well, I have more than just food noise. I have freaking noise 24/7 all day long. My brain still goes so much while I'm asleep that when I wake up, I'm still thinking about what I was thinking about when I went to sleep, and my brain has been thinking it all night. I have very little deep sleep. My brain just never shuts off. And since I started taking this, there has been a great decrease in the noise inside my head. Not just food noise, all the noise. I feel like I only have one commentator in there now, one narrator that's going on, not a whole bunch of cacophony of arguments and things I should need to worry about, and this thing over here and that thing over there, and they all just blah, blah, blah. Like I literally can close my eyes and I don't hear anything in my head if I'm not actively thinking it, which is a miracle. So that's one thing it's helped with. It's also helped, I had grind my teeth severely. The first week it was really bad, but since then has calmed down quite a bit. I still do it, and I still have struggled with that this week because my stress level has been up to, the ceiling. But that has greatly decreased. But the thing that I still am trying to wrap my brain around, and I've kind of talked about this, I think in the vlog portion of this video, is that I don't really understand. People say like if you're not losing weight, you'll eventually get to a dosage that starts you to lose weight. And I guess the problem I'm having is like if I'm tracking all of my food and I'm getting a calorie deficit, and I know I'm getting a calorie deficit, doesn't that just equal weight loss? Like it calms your brain down so that you can do that. That part I get. But the part I don't get, because people keep questioning me, why don't you just do that then? Well, I can't. And that was answered also in the why video, why I quit keto and started GLP-1. I can't do that, but like I thought that was the only thing it did. But there's a third component to it that I'm not really understanding, and it has to do with insulin. I do know that most people that are obese or have struggles with obesity are insulin resistant, which means there's an excess of storage of insulin in the fatty tissue because there's an excess of insulin in the body that the body doesn't know how to process carefully or correctly. It doesn't use it, and so then it stores it for this upcoming catastrophe that's supposed to be coming and never comes. And that's why insulin resistant can make you fatter than someone who is not insulin resistant. I do know that the Tirzepatide is supposed to trigger more insulin. Though I'm not sure why the insulin isn't thus then just buried in fat if it's not used. But supposedly it makes it so that your body is more sensitive to insulin and it uses it more efficiently, thus allowing you to tap into that fat store because your body is no longer storing it for a scary day, and it's allowing it to be released more effectively. So that technically the dose that works for you is also doing that. That's the only thing that I can think of that would make you lose more weight eating the same amount of calories. So that's what I'm still trying to like wrap my brain around. I've been watching a couple of doctors on TikTok that explain it, but I still don't feel it that I really 1000% understand it. But it does make me feel a little bit better because I have been on the struggle bus this week. Not just with my weight loss, not just with my emotions, but like it has been a very long and complicated week for me. There has been great joy and happiness and excitement and dopamine. And there has been high levels of stress and shutdown and meltdown and misery in the same week. So when I said at the beginning of this video, I talk about all the ups and downs, what I'm talking about is mostly this, not necessarily the scale. Though the scale played a part in that this week because I was seriously freaking sick of seeing 253.3 on the scale. I literally had seen it so many times that I wanted to punch the thing. I did start to get upset that it wasn't moving at all, not even an incremental little bit. And that was really triggering a lot of anxiety. But I was also dealing with this whole other situation where I was having my son's girlfriend and her really good friend coming to stay with us for the weekend, and my house being a freaking shambles, and me being unable to deal with it because I was in this weird autism, shutdown, ADHD, paralysis mode that I could not get out of. I thought that maybe that the knowing that they would come would like get that dopamine ready and it would get that, I would be able to hyper focus and just like clean, and it never happened. Finally, my older daughter who does not live with me, when I was babysitting her baby and she saw the house and she realized how close it was getting to the time these girls were coming to stay with us. And I think she realized that I was in a bad way. She could sense it, and thank her soul, she came over and literally on Friday just literally did everything she could and helped me get motivated to do more, and it helped me to feel like less overwhelmed. She was so kind to notice, let alone come over and actually give up a whole day of whatever she could have done at home to help her mom, which meant like absolutely the world to me, because I don't know how I would have ever accomplished it. There's no way I would have ever accomplished it. Those girls would have shown up and this place would have been a junk heap, and I would have been horrified, and I would have never been able to enjoy their presence here, and I wouldn't have been able to have fun with them. And instead, I got to have an absolute blast. I took them all over. I literally only had them. They came in Friday night at midnight, and I had them all day Saturday, but they had a wedding to attend on Saturday night, which is why they flew in, actually. I just got lucky that they decided to stay with me. And on Sunday, I had them all day on Sunday, and then a short minute on Monday morning. And that was it. And so I had to like pack so much Utah for these Tennessee girlies into like a very small amount of time. So it was a lot of go, go, go. It was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of walking around. We went hiking. We went to different restaurants. We went up on the mountain to see over the valley. We took them to 2 different LDS temples because my son wanted them to see that, because he is on a mission in Ecuador. And that is why he is not here. And she is visiting us because he is on a 2-year mission, and she is waiting for him. And she is not a member of our faith. And so the whole thing was really stressful, because I had to take her to church, and my son, who really desires her to become a member of our faith, had given me a lot of pressure on the church experience, because he didn't want that to ruin her faith journey and her interest in it's a whole thing. My son put a lot of pressure on me. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I literally just shut down. In the middle of all of that, I'm dealing with people in my comment section being people. And normally, probably I would have handled it a little bit better. But because of the state that I was in, and the stress of not seeing the scale move, and starting to wonder if this is even working, and wondering if it's all worth it, and wondering if I should quit YouTube, and feeling like all a mess, amidst all of the other stress, I'm literally stressing over the fact that people are questioning me on what I eat and how I move and what I choose to do, and giving me advice, and arguing with me about my GLP-1 titration schedule, and arguing with me about whether or not I should take a GLP-1, because why don't I just focus on protein, because that's what doctors say works best. And then the best of all the game, the criticism of the way I take care of my puppy. So guys, please, I know that I've asked for this so many times, and I know that not all of you have seen all my videos, and I know that you guys probably don't realize how sensitive I am. I am an extremely sensitive human being, and I am just a regular person. I am just a regular mom of 9 sharing my journey. Partially for entertainment for you, partially for some kind of accountability so that I can stay focused on doing it. And partially because I need funds to pay for my life, and I'm drowning here. And that's partially the reason. I'm upfront with that. I am vulnerable on here. I share things on here. I'm the only person on YouTube that's this vulnerable. TikTok, everyone is. But YouTube is a different animal. I am the leading expert of being vulnerable on YouTube. Go back to every video I've ever made. I'm always too much information all the time. So it just kind of kills me that when I post what I eat, and I post how I do things, and I post this and that, everyone always has to have their say. And normally it may not bother me that much, and I'll just ignore, but it's really hard for me to ignore. And when I'm in a state like that, not only am I not ignoring it, I'm obsessing over it. I'm crying. I'm curling in a ball. I'm wondering if I have a purpose in this life. I'm wondering what the point is of YouTube, because as much as I need to make money, sometimes it feels so painful, it's not worth it, because it's hard. That's the only way I can describe it. And I know that if I get all whiny about it, you guys are always just going to roll your eyes and you're just like, oh my gosh, like get over it already. Well, I'm not over it and I'm not going to get over it. I can't get over it. My brain does not allow me to get over it. So, if you're watching this video and you made it this far and you didn't already make a comment criticizing how I'm doing things or offering unnecessary suggestions that I did not actually ask for, may I ask that you please refrain from doing so at this current moment. And if you have already placed one of those comments in the comment section, probably you won't go back and delete it because I doubt you made it this far. But if you have the gumption to go and delete it before I have to see it, I would be grateful. Because there is just no way I'm making it. There is no way I'm making it here on YouTube. I can't. And I can't turn the comments off because I need the engagement. I love all of you that come on here for support. All of the notes of encouragement. All of the beautiful things that you say. They mean so much to me. But my brain will always, always, always focus on the one freaking negative thing that somebody said, and it won't let it go, even if I try to ignore it. Yes, I could ask somebody to look at my comment section first. But who's going to do that? Dave? I hardly see Dave. He does not have time to deal with my YouTube. My kids? Do I really want to risk my kids seeing people saying stuff? What if it's about them? I don't have anybody to look in my comment section. I don't have the funds to pay people for stuff like that. I'm just me. Just me doing all the jobs. I edit. I do the videos. I all myself. I don't have any helpers. I'm not a film crew. These little lights that I use, they cost me $50 on Amazon, and that was a big purchase. So, here's your, not just a PSA, but a begging from the deep inside my soul. Try. I know you can do it because we had that very first video where I had 11,000 views in like a week, and we had 0 negative comments on there that were like this. I know you got it in you to not say something. You do. You really do. And if there's something that you really think would help me, please try phrasing it in a way that's not confrontational or demanding. So instead of saying like, you should, instead maybe you could say, hey, what really worked for me is trying such and such. You see what I'm doing there? I don't go into anybody else's channel and you should them. I do often make suggestions based on my experience, but not in a way that would make them feel caught off guard because it's so hard for me to handle. Okay, PSA over. Let's get to the point of this video, the actual results for week 5. I'm a little scared. Let's do this. Also, if you're still here, thank you. And if you want to know how Dave is doing, I will tell you at the end of this video because I totally have forgotten. I forgot to do it last week. This is the second time I've recorded this entire video, and I forgot to do it after that one. So I decided because that one was so disjointed and I couldn't even keep track of where I was at, I decided to start over. And so I will tell you as soon as I'm finished telling you about my results. Oh, this is the wrong notebook. I don't even know. Oh, there it is. Okay. First thing. When I was recording said first video, I realized that I had not been stuck at 253.3 for 3 weeks because I went back and looked and realized that the first time I hit it was in week 3, not before that. I hit it in week 3 at the end of week 3. Here we are, the end of week 5. That's only 2 weeks. So I was being a little over dramatic and I was hyperfixating on something that did not exist. I thought the medicine was failing me. And I'm constantly the one who says that a stall is 6 weeks with no change in pounds or inches, right? I am the queen of that. And here I'm not even taking my own advice because I was in such a headspace that I couldn't. So that was nice to see. I feel a little bit better about it now. And as you can see by my weigh-ins, I don't know if you can see. You probably can't see because it's so bright, but there's a lot of 253.3s there, and I think that was part of the problem is it just felt like I had hit 253.3 so many days ago or so long ago that surely it should change any second now, and it just wasn't. And I was already so in a way, and every single day I just was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Especially because I was exercising every day. I don't think there was a single day this week that I didn't get some good steps in. And so I feel like I was getting gypped. You know what I'm saying? But let's go over the weigh-ins for you because that's why you're here. And we are already like a long ways into this video. Okay, here we go. So 253.3, 253.3, 253.3, 252.9. I got a little hopeful, a little bit. But the next day, 253.3. And I think that's the day I started going, oh my gosh. Like, if I see 253.3 one more time. And then the next day was 253.8. And that was the day after we went on our big hike. And I just thought for sure I would go down, but I went up by half a pound, which was so annoying. But then this morning, lo and behold, a miracle has occurred. 250.9. Why did that feel so long? It literally was just a week's worth of time, but it was like the longest week of my life. Oh, it was a relief to see that number. Now, I really don't like basing my mental state on the state of the scale. As you well know, that's why I do the average weigh-ins. I add them all up and divide them by 7 and get my average for the week, and that's what I go by. But this week, I was already stressed by other things, and the scale was just exacerbating it. I kept thinking it would move at least a titchy bit, but it didn't want to do it, and it was getting really irritating. And then it was like, there you go. Just thought I'd play with you a little bit. Rude. So the average for the week was 252.9, and that's down 0.8 by average. But if you go from Tuesday to Tuesday, I was down 2.2 pounds for the week. And if you go by the average, my total for 5 weeks is 11.5 pounds. If you go by week to week, from beginning to end, I'm down 13.5 in 5 weeks, which is right on target. So I didn't have anything to worry about. And before you say something, I know you're not going to, because I just gave you a lecture just a little while back, just about 5 minutes ago. If you're tempted to tell me to be patient one more time, I probably will just block you because I can't take that word one more time. I am not an impatient person per se, but you have to remember that this is a 90-pound regain that came on very, very suddenly to the point where I didn't even see it happening until it was way too late. And I have all these desires to be back where I was when I started. And literally this 13.5 pounds or whatever it was, I literally gained that practically overnight. So to see it taking me 5 full weeks to take it off feels like eternity while I'm in it. I know that in the future, when I have lost a lot of the weight, that I won't feel that way anymore. I've done this before, remember? I kind of know how this works. But right now, I'm in it. And it's harder than you might think to stay focused on the day-to-day and not think about the giant, big hugeness of getting rid of all of those 90 pounds and then still having far to go. Because I never really finished my weight loss journey before. I had fully intended to get smaller, and that didn't happen after the surgery, which was greatly distressing. And it has been 4 full years already, and I'm way worse off than I was before. Okay, maybe not way worse off. I don't regret the surgery in one way. Like, it did make it easier, though, to gain weight without noticing because my stomach is very flat, as people have commented. Yes, it is. That's because I had basically all my fat cells removed from the front of my stomach. They're gone. So my body uses the fat cells that exist on my booty, in my boobs, and on my back. The back is the most annoying. I'll keep the booty and the boobs, thank you very much. Anyway, regardless, that is why I know it seems like I'm impatient, but I am a mental case. If you didn't already know that, can I reiterate it one more time? not necessarily a sane human. Things affect me minute to minute. My moods can change. You just never know. Having the methylphenidate, my Ritalin, that I got when I got diagnosed with ADHD, and now adding this GLP-1 to the mix has definitely helped. But that does not change who I actually am and the way my brain actually works, which basically sucks. So I hate being reminded over and over about how my brain sucks by people telling me you should ignore, you should not be impatient, you should be proud of yourself, you should blah, 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 blah. Also, I'm so afraid to not lose weight because I know people will come on and say, you should stop eating bars and shakes. You should eat more of this. You should eat real foods. You should do carnivore. You should do keto. You should do this. You should do that. You know what? I'm not going to should that. I'm not shoulding it. I'm shoulding it out. I am eating what I want to eat. Like everybody else on a GLP-1. I don't need to be told what to eat. Do you guys have even a fathom clue of how hard it is to decide what to eat when you have this anyway in your system? It's a joke. It's hard. Nothing sounds good at all. And I can plan till the cows come home, but that doesn't mean it's going to go down and without a fight. You know what goes down without a fight? A freaking protein shake. Goes right down, baby. Right down. And I would like to lose weight without losing all of my muscle mass and all of my hair. And that is the reason I drink them. Yes, I know. Those of you who actually are going to argue with me about that aren't even at the video anymore. You've already given up on me and moved on. Hopefully you've unsubscribed. Hopefully you're scrolling on by. But for those of you who are still here, that's your reminder that I don't really need advice on what to eat. I know how science works. I'm in a calorie deficit. My protein levels are where they're supposed to be. My fiber levels are where they're supposed to be. And that's harder than you might think too, especially after being on keto for like 5+ years. So, diatribe over. Let's go into the measurements. So, I lost a 1/2 inch on my bust, a 1/2 inch on my booty, a 1/2 inch on my lower abs or a top of my hips, and 1 inch on my waist for a total of 2.5 inches down in a week. I will take it. That makes me very, very, very happy. I'm very thrilled with that. And I'm so glad I actually remembered to measure myself because that also makes me feel a little less stressed out that this is actually working. You know what I'm saying? Let's go over the calories since we just talked about those and see how I did this week. So we have 1447, 1427, 1462, 1311, 1699, 1968. That was the day that we went out to eat with these girls and I tried to track best I could. We made pancakes. No, I didn't make pancakes. What did I make? Hash browns. I made them breakfast every morning. So it was kind of hard to keep my calories as low. And then the day after that, my scale went up and I was like, oh, of course it did. But I was only at 1968. And then the next day, yesterday, I was at 1953. So go figure that the scale just dropped. Granted, that's still a calorie deficit because my TDEE is somewhere between 2,200 and 2,400 calories, depending on my exercise level, which my exercise level was really high this week. I didn't write down my average, but I had at least 4 days where I was over 5,000 steps, and I had no days where I was under 1,000 steps. And I'm not tracking with a tracker watch because I do not have one yet. But on my phone, I am using the Samsung Health app. So that my phone has to be with me. I have to actually travel. So it doesn't give me as many steps as other people do for the day because it only tracks actual moving steps. So there's that. So my average calories for the week was 1609, which is less than 100 up from last week. So not bad. That's still a 600 calorie per day minimum deficit, which should be a little over a pound of weight loss, theoretically. Protein levels, my average protein was 149. I would have preferred it to be 160 because I like it to be 10% of grams. But I have noticed that as I'm adding carbs in and as I'm trying to meet my fiber, it's making it more difficult to get that 10% exact. So really my goal is anywhere between 120 and 150. So 149 is fantastic. That's really, really good for me. I'm happy with that number. My carbs were fairly low. I'm in the low carb zone, which is my plan. 116, which is only 4 carbs up from last week. Not bad at all. My fats were averaged out as 52, which is exactly where I've been. It's perfect for weight loss. I'm very happy with that number. And my fiber, I only had one day where I didn't quite hit my fiber. Every other day I hit my fiber every day, and my average was 28 fiber. And I have not had any constipation issues at all this week on this higher dose. So I didn't talk about that at the beginning because I wanted to go in on the whole thing with GLP-1. But if you're still here and you're still listening to me because you're a glutton for punishment, I guess we can talk about my symptoms having raised up my dose. So the way I've been doing things is really different from the way everybody else that I've seen on social media doing it. I started out at Brello's recommended dosage of 2.2 milligrams, and it did not work that first week, and I was in full-on panic zone, and I had already decided that I was going to try and raise it up to the Eli Lilly dose. That is difficult to do, as these syringes is tiny little lines. Each of these tiny, tiny little lines literally are, sorry, this camera actually does work. Each of these tiny, tiny little lines is 2 units, which is basically 0.44 of a milligram. Each of those little lines. So trying to get like one of those little lines is like you have to go slightly in between the middle, and it's like really tricky. It's so much easier to add the full line each time, which is a 0.44 raise of milligrams of medicine. Now this is different. Units are different for every single company. So if someone tells you how many units they're on, that is not an actual measurement of their medication. Each place does different concentrations of medication, and Brello's is tiny. There's 22 milligrams in every little jar of 1 milliliter of fluid. And here's a secret that you may not know. And if you're here, you may actually care about this. There's more than a milliliter of fluid in every single one of those itty bitty jars. People estimate that there's probably about 130 units in there, which means if you stayed on the 2.2 dose of Brello, you could literally get like 13 weeks of medication out of the first vial that they give you for month 1. That's if you stay. So raising up my dose wasn't going to cost me anything in the long run because I had plenty oodles of medication. That is one thing I didn't realize. If you only had 1 milliliter in each bottle, and if you titrate up exactly how they tell you, it will still last you 15 weeks. But there's extra. So it's a really good chance it's going to last you 16, 17, 18, who knows? You can also change your subscription date when they sign you up for a subscription. You can move the subscription date out. So you might buy it and it's telling you it's going to reorder in 10 weeks, but you can set it to be like another month later if you want. Even with the 3-week shipping time, you should still get it in plenty of time. Then you have like me and Dave, we both bought some. So we have like a crap ton of meds in this fridge. We don't even have to stress. Dave and I have been using the same little jar that supposedly has 1 milliliter. He is on week 3 he'll be on shot 3 he just had shot 3. Is that right? I can't keep track of him. I think he just had shot 3. Yeah. I think he got shot 3 on Friday. And oh yeah, I was going to tell you how he did. Well, he got shot 3 on Friday, and he has been doing 2.5 exactly each week. He hasn't changed it or made it higher or lower. And he has lost 14 pounds in 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks. Something like that. I'm doing my injection today, and I have raised my dose up from 2.2, as I was discussing, to the second week, I raised it up to 2.64. To the week after that, I raised it up to 3.08. Then I stayed at 3.08. So my average dosage for the first 4 weeks was 2.75, which is only 1/4 of a milligram more medication than what Eli Lilly recommends for the first 4 weeks. But because I was titrating it up easily, a little bit at a time, I didn't get side effects, at least not yet. I mean, I know there probably will come like a time that they're bad, but like so far I have not really had a lot. Though I did have more nausea with this next dose. So this week I went up to 3.74. I decided since I was supposed to go up to 4.4 per my Brello prescription, that I would half that from where I was and take half that this week and then add the other half next week. So this shot that I'm going to do today, we're going to do the 4.4 like Brello recommends. And then if I do that, if I handle that okay, then next week I'm actually going to do the 5.0 Eli Lilly dose and do that for 2 weeks and then determine whether or not I'm going to raise up at that point. So there's that. All that to say, this week I was on 3.74 and I did have, like I said, a lot more nausea. I had it more often and I definitely had it almost every night for the first few nights after I ate. But it wasn't that bad. I didn't have to take my Zofran. I still haven't touched it all this time. I'm saving it for a rainy day. I'm saving it for a bad day. I didn't take anything for it at all. I just like shrugged and said, oh, there you go, nausea. Interesting. Again. So I'm expecting to have some nausea with the 4.4. Like I said, I didn't have any constipation this last week and I didn't have to I took one Miralax Chew the whole week. Didn't have to take anything else. I just drank all of my water, at least 120 ounces a day. I made sure to get 25 to 30 something grams of fiber a day. And if I did it, I didn't go one day and so then I took the Miralax. I made sure I go every single day. If I don't go, then I take something. And that's my plan. And it worked really, really well. Fatigue. I've had a little fatigue since the girls went home because I was just going and going and I think I just had another crash. The emotions that I was having earlier in the week was not really fatigue. I didn't feel tired, but I did feel like down. I've been taking B12 from Triquetra Health. I don't have an affiliate link for them yet, but I probably should get one because I really like this B12. I've taken B12 before and not had good results. This stuff is killer awesome. Like when I take it, I am awake. And so I really haven't struggled that much with the fatigue that people talk about. I mean, granted, I'm not to the, the dose that's supposed to actually work for people. So I'm still kind of far away from that. So I'm still on a beginner dose, which by the way, it's not called a loading dose. It is called a starter dose. And the reason that's a difference is because, and here's the autism in me coming out. I have to always correct things. A loading dose is when you give an extra bolus of a certain medication to get it flooding in your system before you start taking your regular amounts. This is the opposite of that. This is easing you into it with a smaller amount of medication and then titrating it up until you get to a therapeutic dose, which apparently is 10 milligrams according to studies. So those of you who keep hearing all of this, stay low so you don't hit the ceiling and then you can't lose weight or whatever. Don't let that stress you out nearly as much. Yes, you want to stay low if it's working. If your food noise is shut down. If your satiety center is good. If you're not having too much stomach issues and side effects, then you should continue to stay on that dose. And you're losing weight, of course. Then you should continue to stay on that dose. So far, week 3 has been the only one that I felt like the dose really did its job the way it's supposed to. And I still don't quite feel like it's doing that. Granted, I had a lot going on this week, so it's not the best week to make a judgment. And then I did lose weight, and so you can't even go by that. But my plan originally was to go ahead and titrate up, so I'm just going to do it. I guess you can complain about it in the comments if you want to. But like, considering at the end of week 5, I'm about to have my 6th injection, and I'm only at 4.4, when most everybody on here has been at 5 for 2 weeks already, I'm not going to give it much thought because this girl is going to do what this girl is going to do because that's how I do. And that's how it's going to be. All right, let me double check my notes because I am so afraid I forgot something like I did with my other thing. Wow, I did it right. I did everything. I got everything. I even told you Dave's results, 14 pounds. He was so excited to tell me. He didn't weigh himself on his weigh-in day. Like, he forgets to weigh himself, but he told me today, he's like, yeah, 14. And he's had a struggle because, like, he lost, like, 8, but then he gained it all back. We thought it was the scale, and then he had lost only 4. And then he got a few more, and then he gained it all back. Like, his weight has yo-yoed way more than mine, but I think it's finally really starting to kick in. He has complained that the pain in his legs is worse than it was before. But, I mean, I don't even know that it's supposed to help with that anyways. I don't really know anything, like, about that. He has one knee replaced, and he is overweight, and his knees aren't so great. So, like, he's probably just... I think maybe he's just noticing it more. He did have a week where he was freaking grumpy. Thankfully, it wasn't this past week. It was the week before. If he had been freaking grumpy this week, the two of us would have killed each other. So thank goodness our freaking grumpy selves are not freaking grumpy at the same time, because that would be really bad. And anyway, that's all I can say about Dave, because that's all he's told me. He doesn't really talk about his symptoms much or anything. Every once in a while he seems really tired, and I've told him to take the B12. I don't think he believes me. I've told him to take his electrolytes. I don't know if he believes me on that either. You know, people don't always believe me, and they don't always listen to what I say, especially at this house. You know what I'm saying? All right, I have talked way too long. This video is so much longer than I wanted it to be, so I got to be done. That is the end. If you guys want to see all the footage of all of my food and my exercise and the super fun time that I had with my 2 house guests this weekend, don't forget to check the video tomorrow, because that's got all of the fun stuff and the fun footage, and not this just me talking to you and making you feel guilty for all your comments thing. Sorry. It just has to be said. It just has to be, or I will lose my mind. So there, that is everything. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. You are awesome. Love you so much. And we'll talk to you all again soon.
Passing to the future.